All right, this is Yarrow. Thank you for joining us today. I'm excited to talk to my guest, Gabriele Musella. Gabriele, thank you for joining me.
Hi, Yarrow. Hi.
So, Gabriele, you're the founder of Coinrule. Definitely want to talk about that and obviously a lot of your history. I'm actually very excited to talk to you because you're in the crypto space. Obviously, it's a hot space right now. A lot of different companies starting up, but a lot of lack of knowledge, I feel, in this space as well. So I definitely want to talk to you about that, in particular what you guys are doing with Coinrule. So you're helping people with the trading aspect, in particular automated trading. So before we dive into your background and history, would you mind just telling us, what exactly is Coinrule and why did you create it?
Yeah, sure. So Coinrule helps retail investors to automate their investments. So we basically give automatic capabilities for trading to normal people like me and you. And we came up with this company 3 years ago because it was a big problem that we were trying to solve ourselves, me and my co-founders. And that, there was nothing like that on the market, so we decided to create a company.
Okay, yeah, I'm very curious about that. But before we dive into Coinrule, I would like to kind of look at everything that came before it. I was diving into your LinkedIn, and you have a lot of education, Gabriele. So you studied a lot. I'm seeing Harvard, I'm seeing MIT, I'm seeing London School of Economics, I'm seeing Politecnico in Milano. You were also in Helsinki, so you like to study. Tell me, what was all that about?
Yeah, I spend a lot of money on education. That's right. Yeah, since I started school, even at high school, I was always working and studying at the same time. So for me, studying gives me the theory and all the structure, the intellectual part, and then apply that into my daily work. So if I don't study, I cannot function basically. Even now, I'm studying French, and I always need to have that intellectual kind of channel going on. Yeah.
Okay, so with all those degrees and qualifications, it sounds like you were doing it, like you said, because you like to study. But was there, I guess, an end game? Did you study specific subjects because you wanted to become a something after it, or not?
I think I fell in love with the design when I was really young, and my main thing was to design user interface and user experiences, and back then, 15 years ago, was not something that was straightforward. So I had to go through architecture, product design, industrial design, and then eventually I ended up at the Media Lab in Helsinki in Finland when I did my exchange program, and I was like, okay, this is what I like to do. And then I really turned myself into basically a digital designer. I started also to learn programming languages, and also I went to the MIT as a visiting scholar. So for me, it was a journey. Always, I started from more the artistic side, and then design, and then at the end, I figured out that I really like business. So now, and then I started to study businesses, in several summer schools at, LSE, MIT, as you were saying, Harvard. So I think at the moment I'm a mix of design and business, and it's kind of an unusual path, especially when I go and talk with some professors, or even with some people from the MBA, because if you're a designer, you don't usually like numbers and crunching big spreadsheets. But I'm a maker, but so I like to make stuff and to build interfaces, digital product. But then I think I also like the practical part of make the business work and to create a use case around it that adds value to the users. So I think, yeah, in a nutshell, I'm a designer that turned into an entrepreneur.
Fair enough. And the designer aspect, when I saw that in your history, I was thinking just user interface design. But it sounds like what you're describing there, you were interested in the whole topic of design.
I was forced into that because I started into the architecture world, so big scale, so, kind of planning big cities, urban studies, and then I went through, I did some courses about systems design and infrastructure and buildings. And then I went down to the pixel. So in a way that was very useful, going to the big scale to the very tiny scale was really, good because it gives you that type of holistic approach that sometimes you don't find when you study something else that's very specialized. So yeah, that was my journey. I was almost forced into it because growing up in Italy, especially south of Italy, you don't have access to specific advanced course as you may have if you grow up in UK or US.
Got it. Okay. So once you realized you were an entrepreneur, who was going to take your design passion and use it in business. I know, I mean, again, there's a lot of, I guess, what was the first, after you finished studying, although I know you never really finished studying by the sounds of things, but when you decided, okay, I'm going to get a job or I'm going to start a business, again, I'm seeing a lot of roles you had. So did you get into user experience as an employee first? Was that like your first taste?
I mean, no, I mean, not really. I mean, I always worked since I'm like 5, almost like, you know.
Okay.
So I remember when I was young, I used to buy the motherboards from old computers. And then I figured out that the battery actually was only running for 1 year. There was a small battery. And most of the people, they just throw away these motherboards. So I was buying this motherboard for like €5, change the battery, and then reselling them for €50. And I was like 8 years old. So I always had that kind of entrepreneurship mindset. And then I was working always as a hairdresser. And then around 13 years old, I discovered how to program in HTML and JavaScript. So I started building websites. So and that was really a very lucrative job. I mean, at that time. And I kept always working as a freelancer, like, through all my university. So for me, it was kind of natural. Already when I finished uni, with my master's degree, I already had like something like 5 to 7 years semi-professional experience. And in fact, my first job in Finland was at ActiveArc. And, I went to work at Nokia, thanks to that job. And what's interesting is now that my first employee in Finland became my first investor in Coinrule, and actually also our mentor and advisor. So it was amazing. So I always worked and studied at the same time, and always around basically digital media and UX design. So there was never like, this is my first job, and always been a continuum.
Okay. So the position in Nokia, that was your sort of post-studies
I would say that,
kind of...
Yeah, the first serious professional one. I was a UX designer. Yeah.
Okay. What were you working on in there? Was it interfaces for what?
Yeah, I remember there was like one big project was the intranet of Nokia and Nokia Siemens actually, and there were like a lot of data. So my specialization in my master's degree was about complex design and information design when you have a lot of data to visualize. So I think I went there and I was like basically designing all these huge dashboards to kind of monitor the production within Nokia Siemens in terms of infrastructure and also employment engagement, all of that. And then I had like few other projects because that was an agency. But yeah, it was I think the big one was the intranet. A lot of data, graphs, data visualizations.
Okay, and do you enjoy that? Was that a challenge for you? Or?
I mean, a big challenge because all of a sudden you're like 20. I don't know how old I was, like 22, 23. And they throw you big meetings with all the the executives, and so you have to kind of learn how to deal with the corporate world and the specific language. Okay. And I mean, at that age, I was like I had like very long hair. I was very rebellious, so it was interesting. And in Finland, Finland also, it's in terms of I love the Nordics, but Finland it's pretty different from what I'm used to. But it was interesting, yeah.
Right. You were born in southern Italy, you said, right? Was
in Naples,
Naples, okay, right.
Yeah.
So Naples, I've been to Naples once, very briefly, and I've been to, not Finland, but on the other side, Denmark, and it's a little different. After Nokia, what was your next, go ahead.
But you know what about Finland? I mean, first of all, I wanted to go there because I grew up in the most corrupted city in Europe, right? I wanted to see what is the opposite. So I went to Helsinki, that is the less corrupted city in Europe, right? And then I went to the Media Lab at Aalto University, and man, it's amazing. All the people that came out of that. I mean, one of them, Attardi, now he's at Facebook, and now he's at Coinbase. Another guy also started a company. In that Media Lab at Aalto University, actually, there were a lot of very good brains that went around the world, and now they're working in big companies. So it was a good choice.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, it is interesting to look back on the people you met and where they end up, especially with your type of path where you studied in so many places, and clearly, you would have met a lot of different, very smart people. What happened after Nokia? Did you move on to another role, or what was next?
So now what happened Nokia? So I did that, and then I went back. I got my degree for briefly 6 months. And then I was just working in this kind of job event with several stands, and there was the Vodafone one, and they were like, "Hey, do you know what is a widget? A JavaScript widget?" I was like, "Oh yes, sure." Like, "Do you want to have an interview in 30 minutes?" I was like, "What?" So I did the interview, and then they offered me like a job like to start in 3 weeks or something like that. So that was my first experience in London at Vodafone, and then after that I worked at UBS Bank. I think I had a very good selling point that was this information design, data visualization, complex design. At that time it was kind of a very newborn discipline, so everyone loved it, and that's also the advice I give to like young people that are starting their job. Have a selling point, a specialty that kind of makes you, get into the company, and then after you can expand horizontally. I think for me was data visualization and information design.
Mm-hmm. What years were we talking about here when you say this was in demand? Was this?
Oh my God, that's so long ago. I mean, at least in my brain, it's so long ago. So many startups ago. I think it's 2010. I think. Yeah,
okay.
I mean, it's not
that long ago.
Yeah, 2009, 2010. I think 2009. Yeah. And
Okay.
At UBS was amazing. I was the youngest one in the team. They brought they brought all the team from Morgan Stanley. There was a software they built at Morgan Stanley called Matrix, and they was built still in Adobe Flash. Actually, Flex. I don't know if you remember Adobe Flex. It was kind of an evolution of Adobe Flash in JavaScript. Anyway,
Okay.
they did this beautiful trading platform, super cool, like spent a lot of millions. They brought all the team from Morgan Stanley to UBS because UBS wanted to do the same. And I was part of this huge new incoming employees batch. And I was working together with a very cool information architect. And there was this, basically we were 60 people, all UX designer and cool people, like in this very obsolete structure, right? A typical investment bank run, if you go into the IT department, it's running waterfall methodologies or very structured, and all of a sudden you have this designer coming in all agile manners, and it was a challenge. I had to tie it up every day, like a design, put a tie on a designer and he would die.
Did you cut your hair?
No, at least I kept my hair. I a little bit shorter, but I still kept them. But I just I think I resisted there something like 10 months. I was super well paid, but then I quit and I started my first startup, my first company.
Okay, tell me about that.
Yeah. That was a disaster. That was it was the first one. It was a digital agency that turned into a product company called Clabora. And it was the time where Groupon was very famous. Groupon, the Groupon model was getting really on fire. And so we did the same stuff, but on mobile for clubbing and bars. And we did we had some traction, but then the team was not right. I made so many mistakes. I learned so much. So eventually I had to go back into contracting, so consulting for some companies in London.
Okay. Is there a particular mistake you remember from that startup that you took today with Coinrule?
Yeah, I think I was just too much of a designer back then. So I was designing a lot, doing a lot of beautiful UI, but I was not really taking in consideration all the technical limitation, all the product management methodologies, how important is recruitment. So I was basically a designer with very good mockups and prototypes, but I was not really pushing for the right financials, the right business model and stuff like that. So I was a little bit more naive, as you would expect, your first company, but also I was too idealistic, I would say.
Okay, so after that, you went back to another job. Was there another startup later on?
There was a very interesting period then because I wanted to make it work, right? The agency and this product ready. So we had a few clients, I think I had Fabio and another guy. Yeah, I think I had 2 employees, and but basically I became the just-in-time consultant in London. Basically, all the recruiters in London, the one that all the agencies that needed someone for like 2 weeks just to come in and fix something, or they were calling me because I was like, look, if you need someone for a couple of weeks, I need to make extra bucks because I need to pay my employees and I need to make the agency running. So, and I had a lot of contact of recruiters. So, so I remember there were like 2-3 years where I was doing a lot of these like 2-3 weeks projects for all sorts of clients, agencies in London, like digital agencies. So that was a bit stressful, but kept us going for a while till I was like, okay, that's it. Let's finish all of that, and I closed the company, and and then I went to the US.
Because?
Actually, The reason we went to the US was because we had a few conversations with some angels in Silicon Valley, right, in California. So me and one of my employees, we went to California to meet them, but also it was like half holiday. So on the way we passed by Boston, and I remember the night before going to Boston in New York, I had when I did my master thesis, it was about smart cities and data visualization, and there were a few mention of this professor that is at MIT called Carlo Ratti. He has a lab called Sensible City Lab. And I always wanted to send him all my theoretical work or the book that I wrote and everything. So the night before going to Boston, I just was like, yeah, fuck it, let's send it. So we sent it, and actually he replied, was like, look, can you come tomorrow at 12? We have a chat. There is the weekly meeting, so you can meet all the researchers. And then I remember I saw that email at 1 p.m., already 1 hour late, when I was already in Boston. So anyway, imagine this like fat guy, because I was like 10 kilos more than that, long hair, running through the MIT. I just smashed into the door in the middle of this meeting, and everyone was like, who is this guy? And then actually the professor and his assistant that actually read the email was like, oh yeah, this is Gabriel. Okay, yeah, sit here. And then after that we had a chat, and then he read my stuff, he saw my portfolio, and was like, look, you want to come here for to work with us for 6 months? I was like, oh yes, sure. And then I went back to London. But then what happened? It's very interesting. I landed the first time I landed in the US. There was a small mistake on the visa. So there was basically a discrepancy between the visa and the presentation letter from MIT. So they actually sent me back. So I got stamped on the passport, like, refused, blah, blah. And since then, every time I go to the US, I get double checked from the 3-4 cops. Well, it was ridiculous. If you go now to MIT, especially to the Department of Architecture, and you ask, oh yeah, the guy that was sent back, they still remember me probably. And then it was like crazy experience. And then, I remember after that, every time I go on holiday, my friends get so scared because they check all my bags. But anyway, then the second time I managed to get to the US with the proper visa and everything. And and then now I've been like at MIT for 6 months. And then after that, I went to Northeastern University with Barabaji, basically the one that discovered the network science, that discipline. And also that was also a serendipity type of event.
And just to clarify, because it sounds like you're running the agency in London, you're heading to California for a holiday to meet some angels. On the way, you go to Boston, you just get offered something, so you say, yes, I'll do that for 6 months. Does that mean you just drop the agency and you...
Yeah, because obviously the agency had a lot of problems. We were like just few clients, it was not going anywhere. So yeah, we just closed it.
Okay. Yeah. And how do your because you were traveling with your friends or your partner in the company?
That was my employee. Yeah, David was my employee. Yeah.
Okay, so you close it down. So then you do 6 months in MIT, and then you said, was it California again when you did that network research?
No, then I was in Boston at MIT for 6 months. Then what happens? The visa expires. I have my girlfriend in Boston. So, I go back to London because, my visa expires. And for that 6 months, basically I started working in London for 6 months on a contract with what's called Group M, one of the company of WPP. It was a very interesting period. And then I started applying to a lot of jobs in the US. And I remember at the end, I got actually an offer from Bloomberg in New York, and an offer from this lab in Boston at Northeastern University with Barabaji. And it's funny how I met this professor, because I read this book called Link. I think it's somewhere here, the book. Yeah, it must be up there. So it's like 10 years before I read this book about network science, and I fell in love with that book. And then I was talking with someone in Boston. I was like, oh, Barabaji actually is in Boston. Like, where? Can I come to visit him? He's like, yeah, sure, come. I go there. Obviously, the professor was not there. He was busy. But they said, like, what? Subscribe to the newsletter. You may get some more information. And literally 2 weeks after I subscribed, I received an email, job opening. They are looking for a data visualization designer. I was like, and I go and check who is the data visualization designer. At the moment, he was actually a friend of a friend. So actually, I talked to him, like, what do you think about my portfolio? He's like, yeah, I think you could be suitable. Just apply. And then I applied, and then I got the job, and then I went back to the US and I stayed another 1 year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gabriele, I feel like we could keep traveling along this very diverse background you've got. I do want to move the story forward, though. So I know there was some other startups. So what was the next startup you focused on?
The other one was there was one that's called Flair. So basically, I come from a family, a generation of hairdressers. So I'm like the fifth generation. So I decided to actually give it a try to join the technology and also the hairdressing. So I came up with a CRM for hairdressing on mobile for mobile hairdressers. That was going well, but then we pivoted. It kind of merged into another company called Paylinko. This one, actually, I have still the mouse pad. This one, Paylinko.
Okay, Paylinko,
so Flare merged into Paylinko. So Flare was going well, but we saw that the market was very organic, was basically a company where you have to manage people, and there was not much really cool technology. So we pivoted into Paylinko because that was solving a much better need, much interesting need. So the idea was that you could get paid on a mobile, wherever you are, just by tapping the card on your mobile phone by using NFC. So actually now, I think WordPay released something like this just like a couple of years ago. And that one was not just for hairdressing, but was actually for all contractors, all installers, plumbers. I was like doing a lot of user research with the plumbers. And then Palinko was there, was kind of going, but I had like a big clash with my CTO. So at the end, the company, basically we decided just to close it because the team was not right. So in these three companies, the first one about e-commerce clubbing, the second one about hairdressing, and the third one about payments, I learned a lot of hard lessons. And then when I was at Mass Challenge, this accelerator in London, thanks to Palinko, this company, I met what they are now my co-founders. And that's Oleg and that's Zenek. And we met, we all had previous companies, we had like these three companies, but we just fell in love with crypto. Also, we were getting along very well, so we just decided to actually focus on crypto and stop our previous company.
Okay.
I mean, now it's going well.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that in a second. I just wanted to connect one dot. I noticed with Paylinko, there wasn't a blockchain part of that, if I'm understanding my research. Is that true?
It's good that we are talking about that. That's a big misunderstanding, and that comes from the FCA. So we actually got accepted to the FCA sandbox, so the financial authority that runs this program for startups. And in the PR, they just like released, payments on blockchain. And I told them, look, this is wrong. I was like, yeah, look, we already published it, so I'm sorry. Now everyone thinks that was on blockchain, but it's not. And yes, but we got a lot of visibility thanks to the FCA program.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because we're talking about 2016, right? Around about that time you were running Paylinko. So, because it sounds to me a lot like what you can do now with your standard mobile phone using the wallet that's built in to store. You hold your credit card and you can or even just Square or something like that. Is it similar, or how is it different?
No, the idea is that Paylinko is about accepting payments. It's not like sending payments. So if you're a plumber, I come to your place, I install a new boiler, you need to pay me £500 or dollars. You don't have cash. Usually a plumber just leave you an invoice and goes away. But with Paylinko, you could actually tap on your phone, directly beep, and then you can accept the money. I'm not sure there is on the market something that goes through Visa and MasterCard, and then you receive the money directly instantly on your phone.
I'm thinking like Square in the US with they originally had
Square. Square probably yes. You still need to have a separate device, but in essence the proposition is very similar.
Okay. Right, but you didn't have a device; you just had an application.
Yeah. Our thing was that you have an application for free on the phone.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so let's bring it up to the current project with Coinrule. So you had a very diverse background from the education experience, working clearly in all kinds of different roles, a lot of it in user interface design, but all over the place. 3 startups prior to Coinrule. So you have like the perfect combination of experiences, skills, education that everyone looks for in a founder. Really, I know, speaking to other investors, they love to meet someone like you who's starting something. Maybe before we talk about the investing side, though, when you met your current co-founders, was it a case of we already have an idea, let's do this, or we don't have an idea, but I like you guys, I want to do something together? Like, how did that come together? So it came together that basically I was using, I bought Bitcoin in 2012, right? And then I sold it, and I made 6%, and I was so happy. Because I was working at university, and I didn't have much money, literally. I needed money to go on holiday. And then
in 2016, I went to check my Coinbase account, just like let's see, and I saw this other coin called Ethereum, and I started buying it, and it was going up and up. So I bought it at $20 or something, and then I fell in love again with crypto. And then at night, while I think I was running Paylinko, I was designing an app similar to Blockfolio. It is a portfolio app to track your coins, but my goal was to buy a house with crypto. So I wanted to have a kind of a sectorialized, goal-oriented portfolio app, right? So I started designing this one. And then after that, I started thinking I wanted to do some automation. I started sketching just like some idea to how to do an interface to automate my trades. So when I talked to Oleg, I already had this idea and I showed this idea. The funny thing is that we were in the same accelerator, me and Oleg, and this accelerator was at Tobacco Docks in London, right? It's a former tobacco factory. And we had huge tables, like 20 meters long, right? And there was, I don't know if you saw some picture of Oleg. Is this ginger guy, like, all funny, like, with glasses and he was super smart, right? And then every time I was working 9 to 5 at that time, I was contracting. And then my team at Palinko, 4 people, that was basically paid by me, by, taking the money from the salary and putting it there. So 9 to 5 I was working. After 5 I was going to the accelerator to work with my guys. So I was super stressed. And there was this guy from the other side of the table that every time wanted to meet me and talk to me, have a coffee with him. And I was like, man, I don't have time for this stuff. So I'm like, I have 2 jobs. But then eventually after 3 months, I said like, okay, look, 10 minutes, what do you want? And then we started talking and I show him the sketches and then it's like, oh, this is cool, and then we started talking more about crypto. So the idea was already there. Oleg wanted to do something in crypto. Zdenek as well came a little bit later, but he wanted to do something more about fintech as well. So I think there was a mix of things, the initial idea plus the convergence. But it was the perseverance of Oleg really wanted to meet me that kind of started the spark.
Okay. But you were all in this accelerator for different reasons. Like you were there for Paylinko and they were there for other companies? Okay.
Yes, yeah. Oleg had like, I think a mentorship platform that companies can use to have people mentoring each other or something. And Zdenek had like a super safe authentication system. Actually, Zdenek company, he also pivoted from something else that was something like a sexual education platform. And then it became a login system and then, so yeah.
Oh, wow. Some crazy pivots there.
A story of pivoting, exactly.
Yeah. So you guys are all in there. You're talking about this idea. That idea, though, is not any of the 3 ideas you're currently building individually. So how do you decide to basically kill 3 projects to come together to start Coinrule? How does that conversation happen?
Oh, my God. That's very... Okay. So for me, for me, it was very, very, very easy because... Again, I had a co-founder called Gigi. She's a super cool girl, and she's Chinese, right? And she was in London. She was still on a visa from the university. But then all of a sudden, she received a letter from the border police saying, like, look, your visa's expired. You need to run away from the country. So basically, I lost a co-founder because she has basically been almost deported. Again, all these like visa problems. So anyway, she went away. My CTO at that time, the good one, went away. I got another CTO, so the product was not going anywhere because I couldn't build the product by myself, and my funds were really like very, very low. So for me, it was a no-brainer. Like, okay, I either get an investment here or I can pursue another interesting idea, always in the fintech crypto space. Oleg as well. I remember when he showed me his product, it was working, but the UI was just like, oh my God, it was like something from the 70s, like. So I was like, oh, I think you should do some more work in terms of design. and also Zdenek, he didn't find, I think, I don't know the full story with Zdenek, but I think he didn't find a way to monetize what he built. And actually Zdenek, his co-founder died. And that's a very bad story, actually. We are laughing now, but actually he died. He had a kind of leukemia, like cancer, like within a week he died. So, in startup world, like the crazy stuff happened. Anyway, so in a way, we were I was on Palinko for like at least a couple of years. So I was already like a bit tired and I didn't see much of a product market fit and also much of a good team. So I failed in recruiting the right people. Also because, recruiting when you don't have money, it's very, very hard. I managed to do it several times, but you don't get the top-notch people, right? You get also the interns, you get young people because just, you have to play with what you get. And so I think, yeah, we were a bit tired, and also crypto was basically making us a lot of money already because we were buying Ethereum. So we saw a lot of opportunities, and then we fell in love also with technology, and yeah, now we prefer more when there's a bear market because that's where you have the most interesting ideas instead of when there's a bull market you just get a lot of people into the space that just want to make money and they're speculators.
Okay. Okay, so through clearly a very diverse range of circumstances, you all realized you could come together to start and actually work on Coinrule. Did you, all three of you, say, okay, we're shutting down our current projects, or did you say, let's work on this together on the side? And how did you build the first MVP?
No, I was very strict with Oleg because then it came after 1 year. But with Oleg, said, look, we either work or not because otherwise, so let's give it ourselves 1 month, 2 months to actually close the other companies, or not close, but just to park the project. So yeah, I think it just happened naturally. I kept the Palinko open a little bit because Palinko as a brand had a lot of success. I got invited for 2-3 years to the bankers dinner. I was sitting, with the Revolut, Monzo, the Mark Carney. I was thanks to Palinko because actually the brand was very strong. Right. So I kept it open so that we could receive still these incoming leads from like events or pitching opportunities. So for 2-3 months I kept it open, but then after I went full time straight away. Oleg still had like a part-time job, and after 1 year I think Oleg just also gave up to the job. So I was basically the first one to go full time on Coinrule, and I remember a very specific moment where in 2019 it was around. I think January 2019. So finally we got accepted to an accelerator that was an Hungarian accelerator in Budapest, right? So first of all, we got these incoming leads like saying, hi guys, you want to participate in this accelerator for Palinko, right? So it was like, and I was like, look, now I'm working on Coinrule, we would like to apply with these other companies. And they were okay. And then we got accepted, and they gave us the under 25K plus 3 months of acceleration in Budapest. So it's very funny because a London-based company, all international, you're in the epicenter of the startup ecosystem in Europe. We have to go to Budapest to actually fundraise and have an accelerator. Yeah. And Techstar didn't accept us. All the other good accelerators in Europe didn't accept us. Anyway, so we got accepted, and then I remember that one night we were on the phone with Oleg, and he didn't have the. I think at that moment he didn't want to kind of quit this job. It's a 4 days a week job. It was like, look, we can do, maybe I can come there the weekend, I can come back to London, maybe it is. It's like, look, I'm taking a Uber right now. Let's meet at this pub next to your place. It was 11 p.m. at night. It's like, yeah, let's talk about this. Because that's where a lot of entrepreneurs fails to make the jump. When some entrepreneurs, they do it very early, and it's a mistake because you need at least 6 months to set up your company and to actually sort out all the admins and operation and the basic things. Some people, they don't jump, and they don't have the opportunity. By this case, we had an offer there, and Oleg was just like too cautious. So we had the partners like, look, we either join the accelerator, you come full time, or for me we close the company. I'm like, sometimes I'm just black and white. And he was like, okay, let me think. I understand because that job was nice and 4 days a week was perfect, and I think we found a good solution that he came to Budapest in March. He did 1 month working remotely from them, so he could kind of juggle the 2 jobs. But then after, he was full time on Coinrule, and that's where the actual company started because we were 4 of us, in one place, including the accelerator. And in fact, we won as a best startup in Accelerator. We did the under 25K. Wow. We also got more investments from other 2 angels. The guy from Finland that were my first employees. So everything came together. It was very, very intense, not stressful, but intense, because I also broke up with my girlfriend after 5 years because I went to Budapest. Wow. So yeah, it was all of a sudden I changed my life. I'm in Budapest. I broke up with my girlfriend, and finally we have a company that has funding and this kind of, is going well. So it was very a typical roller coaster.
Okay. Did you cut your hair by then? Were you nice and short?
No. Yeah, there was already cut much before.
Okay. Just want to keep the haircut story going. All right. So, let's talk exactly about Coinrule. So you built the first version. When did you get your first customer, and what was that first version?
Yeah, so the MVP was made in 4 weeks during the accelerator, and we had a few first customers. I think building the community of 100 users, the first one was not too hard, thanks to my co-founders, because Oleg is very good at creating that momentum. He's a very good networker. We had like the first customer trading like 500, 1,000. The first one we had like a lot of bugs, so some of them we were like basically giving the product for free, and also being very cautious. But usually we knew them by name. Mm-hmm.
Maybe just before we talk more, I'd be really good just to break down what does Coinrule allow you to do? Like, how does it work?
So basically, with Coinrule, you can do an automation, right, on trading. So instead of buying and selling at specific time, sitting in front of a laptop at night or when the price drops, you can actually say, if this happen, do that. So it's like FTTT for crypto. So the structure is always like, if Bitcoin goes down 3%, buy this other coin at this specific price, given certain conditions. And then you can actually set up which condition. You can say volume, price, other indicators. So it's very straightforward. You can say if Bitcoin goes down, buy this other fund. Or if this happen, do this and that. And it's all very visual, very simple to use. No programming skills needed. It's a no-code platform, and you can create more than 10,000 different automatisms basically. You can also use some of the templates we already have.
Now, I know when I first heard about Coinrule and I started looking into it, I was like, but I don't actually transfer and trade on Coinrule. It interfaces with the actual exchanges like Binance and Coinbase and so on. So how does that work? Do you have to like API in so that Coinrule can trigger transactions through those platforms? Is that right?
Yeah. We give superpower to the exchanges, basically. We are layered on top of Coinbase, Binance. We have more than 11 exchanges integrated. So the way it works, you can just create an API key that is a string of letters and numbers on your exchange. So you do your registration there. Your wallet is on the exchange. We don't touch your money. But then you copy and paste this key on Coinrule, and then the two machines are connected. And you build the automation on Coinrule, and then Coinrule send the buying and selling instruction to the underlying platform when it's needed.
So Coinrule is like a robot that's trading on my exchange account. Now, the other thing I thought of when I also first heard about Coinrule was like, I could see myself just giving myself like a price point I'm happy to buy at. But then I thought the true power here is that like what the big financial firms do, where they're setting up algorithms to basically constantly like do fast trading throughout the day just to take advantage of sudden drops. And I was like, I wouldn't even know how to create that structure. And I believe Coinrule does provide some kind of templates to start with. How did you design that?
Yeah, we have a head of trading in our company, and he designs all the templates. Now at the moment we have around 200 different templates that you can use on your coin of choice. So obviously we have access to all the coins that you have on Binance, on Coinbase, so there are thousands, and we give also the templates. And what's interesting is that we are not like a black box investment tool where you put the money, you go away, and you get your 5% per month or whatever. But you actually see what's happening. So even when you select a template, you see the structure, and you can decide what's the amount here, what's the amount there, what's the price point, and then you press play yourself.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate the explanation, because I want to talk about the founding story here, but I really need to understand what you guys do. So that's really great. And I'm assuming not all those features were there from day one. Like you had to kind of start adding things as you went.
Yeah.
So
we had a very simple MVP.
I was going to say the MVP was probably just some basic rules, like if this is this price, buy, and away you go, right? I also know you did a crowdfunding campaign as well as later on an actual raise, which is the most recent raise, and you got some amazing backers. Kayak Co-founder, EightSleep was in there. I've got an EightSleep bed. But maybe we can do this in order with the last sort of 10, 15 minutes we have. So you guys get some funding from Budapest with the Accelerator there. You get some angel investors after you finish it. You've built the MVP. Your co-founder was able to sort of find the first 100, and then you sort of go from there. we're on track.
Actually, with MKB Bank, the Hungarian Accelerator was a bit more complex because they gave us 25K and they were like, okay, we love your company and stuff, but since you're crypto, our board of directors cannot approve the extra 100K if you don't bring a co-investors. And they tell us like these 4 weeks prior to the end of the program. We're like, oh my God, where are we going now? And that's where we went crazy, and it was difficult to find the angel. And thank God that, my ex-boss came and then actually they added the extra, I think 75K. And that was the first round. But then what happened, there was a pandemic, right? So fast forward, there's a lot of stuff, we built a lot of things. And then fast forward, we arrived in March, where we were starting the new fundraise. This is March 2020. We had a time sheet on the table for like somewhere 250K from one fund in London. And literally the time sheet was something like the 5th of March. And the pandemic in London hit on the 8th of March when it became real. Literally, and the investors sent us an email like, look guys, the valuation we gave you, now we cannot give it anymore. So the what was it like? I think it was valuation of £4 million. I mean, if you want the same deal, the valuation would be 1.75. It's like, what?
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, because we need to save money for our portfolio companies. So I'm sorry. And I was like, okay, we are basically fundraising at the same valuation of 1 year ago. This is not good. Like, we're just giving out, shares like this. But at the same time, we had not much cash in the bank. So that was very stressful because between March and basically June, we had like very low money. We had to put people on furlough. We had to fire 2 people, and the team shrinked to 5 people. And what was interesting, also our employees by themselves, they're like, look, I can cut my salary by 20%, no problem. So it was amazing. Like, I really saw how they were stepping up and helping the company. And so we had to basically build everything from scratch, all the fundraise. And that's why we came up with the idea of doing a crowdfunding campaign. And basically, I came up with this. Sometimes, being a designer helps because you have that creative part that comes, and sometimes really helps. So I don't know why I built a page like Invest in Us on our website, right? And I put it on top menu. I don't even know if it's legal. Probably it's not, but let's assume it's legal. So you go there, and I was like, look, before we do Seedrs, let me try just why don't we do a crowdfunding campaign by ourselves on the website. And then I saw that a lot of people were requesting like to invest 5K, 10K, 3K. So we built a huge backlog of at least 50 people that wanted to invest some amount of money in our company. Because what we had, thanks to another growth hacking trick that the previous year we built, we had a lot of traffic on the platform. So even if these people were not becoming users, they were knowing about us, and they liked the company, the About Us page and stuff. So they actually wanted to invest.
Do you mind sharing what that growth hack was, Gabriele? Just out of curiosity.
That's I've told everyone by now. But we built a machine. That's very. So there was this friend of mine in Budapest. We got this big house with 2 startups. This friend of mine told me about this system to build a lot of landing pages, and really clicked with me. So I went off on a tangent, and I got a lot of freelancers and people. It took like 13 people in 3 months to actually build this stuff. But it's basically, we have a matrix of words, and from that matrix of words and synonyms and variables, we generate thousands of landing pages that rank very, very well. So, so some of them rank first position on the first page of Google. And I'm talking about 160,000 landing pages and we generate every month about 20,000. So we have this machine now that continuously generates landing pages with specific content, with the keywords of exchanges, coins, crypto strategies, and obviously, so it generates a lot of traffic, traffic. And then there is like the similarity of the pages that, Google kind of doesn't rank that. So there's a lot of work to do also on understanding how original is the content. So thanks to that trick, we had a lot of traffic. So these people, basically, we built a huge backlog of people that wanted to invest. And thanks to that, basically, we then started building the crowdfunding campaign on Seedrs. And basically, the way it works on Seedrs or any crowdfunding platform is that you have to bring at least 40 to 50% of the funds you want to fundraise. And then when the campaign opens, you're already at 50%. There's momentum when people join, right? So actually, crowdfunding helps for amplifying your raise. It doesn't help really to fundraise. But we built a lot of these things. So we stayed in that position. So low salaries, a lot of people interested. We started the crowdfunding campaign, and at some point the lockdown finished. It was July. We rented a huge villa in Crete, in Greece, and we just went all the team plus some friends. So we had 20 people in Greece, and we were working from there. We sent the video maker down there, so we shoot the video, the very nice video that is online. So we had this beautiful video. We invested a little bit of money on that, and then I remember we started with something like, I think 250K. That was the target of the campaign. But then in private mode, because you can have also a pre-sale, we already reached something like 240. And then in private mode, the second day of the crowdfunding campaign, when it was still private, we just went 100%. And I was like, what is that? Doesn't make sense. We already at 100%. Anyway, and we are still in private. So I had to open the campaign very quickly. And then when we went on the platform, there was so much momentum that we did, I think 202%. So we raised 550K pounds. And so it went very well. We never did any marketing till that point. We were everything was organic with the growth hack. So I think the crowdfunding campaign was the first kind of brand awareness type of initiative we did.
Interesting.
And it worked very, very well. Yeah, it brought us to the radar of a lot of VCs and angels.
Yeah. What was the valuation for the crowdfunding? Because obviously it was £4 million before. Do you remember? Was it?
I mean, no, from the Accelerator, the first investment was in pound, 1.2 pounds. Was very low. And then for the crowdfunding was 4.6. I'm always mistaken because between dollars and pound. So
I mean, we can look it up, but that's fine.
Yeah,
it was similar to what you originally were hoping to raise before the COVID.
Yeah. It was a bit more, but still kind of realistic. I remember in October when we fundraised, we had 10K. We were making 10K a month, and then since last November in 2020 till now, we made basically a 10x. So now we're making around 100K a month. So the market, really picked up, but also we solved a few problems on the platform, but also the marketing helped. And then what happened? I remember in May, with the market, this 2021, we already were talking with some VCs to do kind of a Series A. So at high valuation, all of that. And the market was really bullish. So it was May, and we were making something like under 60K a month, so it was very good numbers for our Series A. And then we received a message from YC, Y Combinator. Now, we applied for Y Combinator for 6-7 times. Every year, it's like a kind of religion. And then it's like, they actually reach out to us when we have this high MRR. And it's not really typical because usually you go to Y Combinator when you don't have any revenues, right? Anyway, we had a chat. They interviewed us. It's a 10-minute interviews. It's very, very, very hard. Like they just shoot questions one after the other, and but eventually we made it. So I remember Harj, our group partners, he asked us for a call at 11 p.m. We were super tired on a Friday night, and he was like, "Guys, you are in," and we were like, literally just destroyed because we have been working all week. I was like, "Are you not happy?" "Yes, we're happy, Ash, but here it's 11 p.m. and we have not been sleeping for a few days because they're in California." And then we joined Y Combinator. I was a bit skeptical at the beginning because basically in this batch there were 408 companies, and only around 5-10 companies were at our stage in terms of monthly revenues, right? So usually they're much early stage company. So I didn't want to join also because we had to move the company to the US. And I strongly, I'm European. I strongly believe in Europe, and I lived in the US. I love it, but I don't like specific thing of that kind of society system. So I didn't want to move the company in the US. I like the UK legislation. I like Seed Legals. That is the platform that allow you to do everything, in the UK in terms of fundraising and legal, documents for startups. But anyway, so it was a hard decision for me, but eventually I understood that was the right one. So the program was just, it's just great. Once you're part of that network, Y Combinator, you're like a Superman, basically. You have access to everything, everyone. We got mentorship from the founder of Airbnb, the founder of Stripe, the founder of Twitch. So many good people. Everyone is willing to help. They have a very, very good internet called Bookface, not Facebook, but Bookface. And they and that's the Bible. There's like a lot of stuff. There's a lot of very, 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 very interesting and important information.
Gabriele, I have so many questions. You've got to go in about 5 minutes, so I feel like I need another half an hour, but we'll wrap it up. I do want to know. Clearly, you're still a fairly early stage, but you've already grown quite rapidly. Where do you want to take Coinrule, and how do you plan to grow it to the next phase of the life?
Yeah, we have some plans, but it's very hard. So what we did, we fundraised now, I think $2.2 million. And, as you said, we had the founders of Twitch joining, Fitbit, Kayak, now Ravikant through a fund, the guy from EightSleep, Zilliqa Capital. So very good investors. We also declined $500K from Binance, for example, because we didn't want to dilute ourselves much. But now, basically, we have to spend money. So we have been very frugal till now, and we are very good at that. But we are learning in the company how to spend money. So we are recruiting 2 extra developers, designers. The team is becoming, now it's like 14 people, but it's becoming around 20 people. And so we have a few main features that we are deploying. One is the backtesting. So we want to build the simplest backtesting in the world. So the ability for you, if you build a strategy, to actually go back in time and test the strategy on a different market condition. How it would have performed in 2018, for example, so that you can actually have an informed guess how the strategy works and you can tweak it before launching it. That's very important. And then we are also working on a marketplace, so an ability of creating a strategy, selling it on the marketplace, and also to do copy trading. So you can actually copy someone else's trades the same way you do on eToro. So these are just 2 of the big modules that we are building. But then there is also a tap into the DeFi space, and other exciting features. So there's like specific stuff we are doing, and now we are using also OKR, so to make us more focused. And we also changed the way we work in the product team. So now we have like big modules, and everyone works on that thing for like 1 month, instead of before we were doing a lot of small things. So I think those are the main.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it does feel like it is almost like day one still.
Yes.
Just 2 minutes here. I know your platform, for a lot of people, it's a place to set up a free account and actually just use the demo trading account just to learn how this whole automated trading system works. So I think it's fantastic. I'm assuming, like you said, you've got over 100,000 users, but I wasn't sure how many are paying. But you've got right now, anyway, I'm reading like a $30 a month plan and a $60 a month plan, which I'm assuming are for the more advanced people who get comfortable with that. That's like basically that's kind of like the customer path, right? They become beginners, they learn, they get comfortable, and then they upgrade and start using the paid version.
Correct. Yes. I think the best way to just join Coinrule is to try the free account, the demo rules. You can build 2 or 3 demo rules. Just have fun, and then once you see that something works after a few weeks, then you can actually say, okay, let me try and upgrading to the $20 plan and see if actually my hypothesis works in the real market. That's the best approach.
Yeah, I really like the idea of copy trading at some point too. I can imagine people, you'll have those superstars who will show up and come up with these amazing algorithms that they built, and then you can just click copy and away you go. So that'll be that's quite groundbreaking. I know eToro kind of made it happen with just general trading, but yeah, you're doing it with the diversity of coins. There's so many altcoins now. It's so hard to keep up,
all the low-cap coin, the new ones that have more kind of the ability to grow faster.
Yeah, they jump around like crazy. So you've got to go. Gabriele, thank you so much for sharing. Obviously, Coinrule.com, the place to go. Any other websites you want to share?
I think also on our blog and our Medium, you can find a lot of strategies. We also publish the strategy of the week on Instagram, so you can have a look at that. There is Ruben, our head of trading, that knows a lot about crypto, so he always shares his tips.
Awesome. Perfect. I feel like we should do this again in a year or two just to see, what's the next few phases. But thank you, Gabriele. That was a lot of fun.
Perfect. Thank you, Yaro. Have a good day. Cheers.
You too.